Every high-masking autistic person I've met, including myself, does everything on this list. All 10 of them. So this list is fascinating for me to see because there are too many commonalities to ignore. And my guess is you're probably wondering, do I do the things on your list? You're gonna find out soon. Okay, so here's how my list came to be. I started with a list of 30 fairly amusing things that I do that my non-autistic wife does not do. Then I asked some of my autistic buddies, do you do these things? Yes, then it stayed there. No? Then I cross-checked it with other autistic people I work with or talk with occasionally. And holy moly, the list whittled down. In the end, there were 10 things that everyone I connected with does. That got my attention. Especially because the diagnostic criteria and the DSM-5 don't actually tell you what the autistic experience feels like. Restrictive interests, repetitive behaviors, differences in social interactions. What the heck does that even mean? Like repetitive behaviors. Doesn't everyone do things on a repetitive basis? Like we all wake up. Don't we all then get out of bed? Put on clothes? Does that all fall under repetitive behaviors? So if I do those things every day, am I autistic? Nope. Getting out of bed, getting dressed, that whole routine, that doesn't mean you're autistic. But I found that there are common autistic experiences, even though every autistic person is different. So today, we're diving into this list of 10 amusing signs of autism in adults. Let's see how many of them you relate to. Number 1, you get hyper-focused on the feeling of things, like that one spot on the couch. You can't just sit anywhere. The texture, temperature, or firmness of your environment matters. Maybe there's one chair in the living room that feels just right, and everyone else in the household knows that is your chair until a guest arrives and sits in your chair.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Whoa. Hey, how about you sit over here? Dude, I'm good here. This seat is way comfy. Yeah, I know. I usually sit there. Right next to the TV? By usually, I mean always. Oh, great for the old lumbar. Except when I get tricked into getting up and answering the door. Oh, this thing really sucks you in. Whew. For someone who I didn't even know was coming. Oh, dude, I'm hungry. You wanna go get some shrimp? Okay, let's do it. Now he'll get up and I'll finally get my chair back. Ugh. Dude, let's just order in. I can't get out of this chair. It's too comfortable. This hyper-awareness of textures and surfaces can be a subtle sensory processing sign. But for me, it's more than that. I've made that space my own. The right textures, the right amount of AC blowing on me, the right volume of the TV, the right space from people where I can both engage when I want to and also zone off when I want to. To other people, a space on a couch or a favorite chair might seem over the top, but this is one of the ways my autistic brain craves routines and can also relax. I don't need to overthink how to make myself comfortable when I've spent the last 3 years perfecting that particular spot. Thank you very much. 2, background noise isn't background to you. You can hear every hum, beep, and whisper in a room, and it's impossible to tune out. The AC buzzing, a coworker's pen tapping, or the neighbor's dog barking 3 blocks away, all equally front and center in your brain. So this is what it might feel like.
Why are you so tense?
What?
Why are you so tense?
Well, because the fridge has been running in B flat for the last hour. It's almost as if background noises feel like a personal attack. And how do you defend yourself from household appliances without looking unstable? Number 3, you memorize weird, useless details because bottom-up processing is how you do it. Your brain just doesn't notice details. It hyper-focuses on them, often at the expense of the bigger picture. Hello, bottom-up processing. That thing your brain does where you naturally start with small details and build up to the whole. And not all autistic people see the world this way, but many do, including myself. I never knew until recently that non-autistic people usually work the other way around, top-down processing. So they focus on the big picture and only notice details if they're important. It's like their own built-in filtration system, just paying attention to what matters. Sounds easier in many ways because noticing everything all the time, all at once, is a little bit tiring.
Oh my gosh, my favorite part is coming up.
Yeah, mine too. It's the best scene ever. Why is that guy in the background holding his cup that way? Nobody holds a cup that way.
Okay, here it comes. Here it comes. Oh my gosh. Oh. I could watch that scene 1,000,000 times.
Oh, I know, right? It's always so great, so powerful when she catches her daughter right at the end and saves her from falling.
Oh, she's so nervous through the entire storm, but Mom saves her right at the end.
Why would anyone hold a cup that way? Nobody holds a cup that way. This movie sucks. This is how you hold a cup. Or like this. Nobody holds a cup like this. You guys want to watch another movie? Bottom-up processing can make you brilliant at spotting inconsistencies or noticing things others overlook. But it can also mean you get overwhelmed by too much information. So realize this could mean you need more frequent breaks. And that's okay. And also remember, it's okay if you're not always interested in the big picture. Number 4, you have rules for things no one else cares about. Okay, so honestly, do you load the dishwasher your way or not at all? Or maybe you just rearrange the dishes when you think no one else is looking because you wouldn't want the forks to get stuck on the knives. They really wouldn't like that during the wash cycle. No, they wouldn't. Or maybe your groceries must be bagged in a specific order. Or bagging feels so overwhelming when you have more than 2 things that you always go to the line with a real life person to help with that, which is becoming harder and harder to find these days. These rules feel less like preferences and more like laws of the universe. Rigid thinking can be a subtle sign of autism. It connects to the restrictive or repetitive nature of autism that's part of the diagnostic criteria. Just realize that sometimes these rules might add stress and sometimes they might help. Number 5, you zone out in conversations and realize what happened weeks later. You're in a conversation and everything seems fine until later. Maybe it's hours, days, or even weeks later when your brain finally goes, oh, that's what they meant. Delayed processing time is common for autistic people, especially when conversations involve complex emotions, subtle social cues, or complexities with tone, or when sarcasm is disguised as friendliness. That gets me every time. Always gets me. They always do that to me. So that's why you might do what I do and jolt awake at 3 a.m. after you realize that was what your colleague meant 3 weeks ago when they made that comment about a great TED Talk. Oh wait, were they being sarcastic? This delayed realization happens because your brain is still sifting through the information long after the moment has passed. Now save yourself some headache and realize that a lot of the time, you're actually the only one still thinking about it for so long afterwards. That compulsion to then go and correct the other person or set the record straight, usually unnecessary. In fact, the other person is probably confused about what you're even talking about because it was so long ago, like more than a day ago. So if you really need to, it's okay to circle back to conversations later if you need clarity, or just let it go and move on. Number 6, you overthink random actions. You can spend 5 minutes debating the correct way to say goodbye at the end of a phone call, or how many exclamation points are too many in an email. Which emoji should I end this text with? Wait, how are they going to perceive my tone? Oh, do I even need to respond? Maybe just put it aside. But you might also forget then. Shy. Everything you do feels like a potential trap. Overanalyzing everything is often a sign of masking or anxiety, which is very common for autistic people, but it's hardest for you. Most people won't notice half the things you obsess over. Number 7, you struggle with time in very specific ways. So you're either wildly early or cutting it so close, you're basically sprinting. And forget estimating how long something will take. A 5-minute task somehow eats up your whole afternoon. Like when you say, I'll just do this one thing real quick. And then 2 hours later, wait, what time was I supposed to leave? Oh no, I just missed the whole thing. Time blindness is common in autistic people and also other neurodivergent folks. That's probably why some of our friends who are also neurodivergent are the most accepting of our time blindness, because they also have these struggles. The struggle with time is real, folks. Number 8, food texture is a deal breaker. It's not about being picky. It's that certain textures feel wrong, even unbearable. Crunchy carrots, gross. Slimy mushrooms, I'll pass on that, thanks. Milk with even the faintest hint of warmness, that's diarrhea talk. And I am not interested. This sensitivity to textures is related to differences in sensory processing. Many autistic people are either hypersensitive or hyposensitive, so the range of how this applies to food can look interesting. But the best part about being an adult, if I don't want it, no one, and I mean no one, is making me eat it. 9, the moods of others impact you a lot. Someone else's vibe can completely derail your own. If they're stressed, you're stressed. If they're in a bad mood, suddenly you feel off too, even if you were fine a few minutes ago. Walking into a room can set off all kinds of moods, probably part of why you stay by yourself, a lot of the times by choice. When you're awake, the emotions really hit you all over. This hyper-empathy is common in autistic folks. That's part of why it can be frustrating with misconceptions that autistic people don't have empathy. Sometimes we have too much of it. It feels like the weight of the world is on our shoulders. It's part of why we might need to build boundaries to protect our energy, like politely stepping away when you're feeling overwhelmed. I have to do that even with Debbie, and it's helped us both to improve our own relationship. But it also highlights the differences between us. A lot of the time, once she gets it out, she feels better and seems to forget about it. But that thing that she was telling me about lingers, sometimes for hours or days or even weeks. It's like a vibe hangover. And when more people are involved, it can get even harder. Number 10, you over-explain or under-explain everything. When telling a story, you either give a step-by-step documentary or skip over half the details and confuse everyone. There is no in-between. So this can cause issues, especially if you're like me and seem to bother people to pick and choose how to do this. I know in my own mind why I go into tons of details and sometimes just skip to the end other times. I know it's important to me and what I want to discuss. Otherwise, I just want to get to the point, no beating around the bush. Bing, bada, bang, bada, boom. Boom. Since I learned I'm autistic, I've realized that struggles with pacing communication often point to a different way of processing information. Maybe the top-down versus the bottom-up thinking we talked about earlier, or just the autistic desire to be efficient. But now that I realize I do this and Debbie doesn't, it helps because I can say, Debbie, today I'm pretty tired. Can you just give me the bullet point version? Or other times when I have a lot to say about something, I can't.
Debbie, this one's gonna take a while. Is that okay?
Then I won't get derailed if there's a time limit and the other person interrupts me to pause it, jarring my autistic inertia that wants to chug through the entire story. How many of these signs hit you? Right in the face. Really? This is the only carrot we have? This thing is the size of a pumpkin. Oh, it just looks so weird. Cut. Let me mull this one over. Let's take a little break.